Did you once think the American dream was a small house, a white fence, and some money in the bank? If you walk through Union Station in Washington or the Tenderloin in San Francisco, you will see another America. Tents line the streets. Former workers who once had pensions now wait at food banks. Signs saying, "We'll work for food," are everywhere. A recent report says that in only a few months, over 100,000 jobs disappeared. Many people who worked in offices are now living in shelters. This is not a distant problem. It is a warning. The real question is not, are we safe, but when will it be my turn? This crisis is not just about numbers. Let's look at 10 big U.S. cities struggling with homelessness caused by job losses. Each city tells part of the story. Together, they show the whole picture of a new and difficult chapter in America. Los Angeles, LA is often called the 10th city capital. The homeless population is about 72,000. Officials say that is a 4% drop. On paper this looks like progress. In reality, many people were just moved from tents into shelters or motels under the Inside Safe program. They do not truly have homes. They only moved from sidewalks to temporary rooms paid for with tax money. Take a family in Van Nuys. The wife is a cashier. The husband is a delivery driver. Together, they earn around $60,000 a year. But rent for a two-bedroom apartment is about $2,800 to $3,000 a month. That is nearly half their income. One lost job or a big medical bill could put them on the street. For older people, this is not just someone else's problem. Many grandparents now watch their own grandchildren struggle with rent, debt, and layoffs. LeMay claimed things are improving. But living in a motel instead of a tent is not the American dream. It is a waiting room, where people live temporarily until they are moved again. New York's homeless numbers are rising even with one of the largest shelter systems in the country. The right to shelter law says everyone must be given a bed. But the system is collapsing. The number of people living on the streets has grown by 9%. That is equal to the size of a small town. Rents are very high. Even in Queens, a one-bedroom costs over $3,000 a month. Retirees who thought they were safe with paid-off apartments now face huge property taxes and building fees. Many are thinking of moving to cheaper states. Younger workers have it worse. A layoff can send them from an office job to a shelter bench. And those shelters are often overcrowded, noisy, and unsafe. If you walk down Broadway at night, you will see rows of blankets and plastic bags used as pillows. This is the other side of Wall Street, where people sleep outside skyscrapers. Phoenix, the heat makes homelessness deadly. Temperatures reach nearly 50 degrees Celsius in the summer. More than half of the city's homeless people live outside with no shelter. Phoenix used to be a retirement haven. But rents rose by 30% in a few years while wages stayed flat. Seniors who moved there for cheap living now struggle. Many live in fear that one illness could push them into homelessness. Tent camps have spread as the city failed to build enough shelters. What was once a dream of sunny retirement is now a gamble many call retirement roulette. Heat has turned the housing crisis into a survival crisis. More and more homeless people are ending up in hospitals from heat exhaustion. San Francisco shows the sharpest contrast. It is home to billion-dollar tech companies. Yet the streets are lined with tents. Officials often clear encampments. But people just move to another block. The cost of living is the highest in the country. A one-bedroom apartment is over $3,500 a month. Tech jobs, once abundant, are now being cut. AI is replacing workers. Picture a mid-level IT worker. 3 years ago, he made $120,000 a year. After paying taxes, rent, food, and medical costs, little was left. When he was laid off, he sold his Tesla and started sleeping in it. Silicon Valley is now a place where people write code with AI while sleeping in their cars. If even six-figure earners can lose everything, who is safe? For many, the American dream feels broken. Chicago in the Midwest, Chicago is suffering from job losses. Tens of thousands of manufacturing jobs disappeared in 1 year. Families that once relied on steady factory work are now struggling with unemployment, falling wages, and rising rents. The Windy City is now facing a storm of job cuts. Manufacturing was once the soul of Chicago. The steel mills, workshops, and car factories supported an entire generation. But now, when you pass through the industrial areas, instead of loud machines, you only hear factory doors closing. The news often talks about AI taking office jobs in Chicago. But robots and automation replaced factory workers a long time ago. And just as the supply chain started to recover after the pandemic, new tax rules and higher energy costs made things worse. Many businesses cut production, and middle-aged workers who thought their trade was safe are now lining up for unemployment. Losing a job does not only mean losing a paycheck. It also means losing company health insurance. One medical bill can push a family into debt. For example, a 52-year-old man in Joliet worked in assembly, while his wife worked part-time at Walmart. Their 2 kids are in college. After layoffs, the family had to live on unemployment benefits, while tuition, medical bills, and gas costs piled up. A man who once proudly supported his family now stares at bank debt notices. In Chicago, famous for deep dish pizza, wallets are getting thinner and thinner. People still make jokes to get by, but everyone knows this storm is not temporary. The 100,000 jobs lost across the country are just the beginning, and the Midwest, the heart of American industry, is being hit the hardest. While Chicago struggles with unemployment, Houston faces a different crisis. Housing. Houston is known worldwide for oil, gas, and even space flights. People call it the energy capital of the world. But in the middle of this energy hub, the biggest need is affordable housing. In less than 10 years, Houston's population has grown by hundreds of thousands. Immigrants from Latin America and workers from other states fueled a housing boom, but affordable housing did not keep up. Rental prices have jumped, with many areas seeing a 25% rise in just a few years. A 2-bedroom apartment downtown now costs over $2,000 a month. That may sound cheaper than New York or San Francisco, but compared to Houston salaries, it is still a heavy burden. At the same time, investments in green energy are being cut, and with them thousands of jobs. Workers who believed in the future of clean energy now stand in unemployment lines. One single mother who worked in pipeline maintenance used to support her 2 kids and pay rent in the suburbs. After being laid off, she fell behind on rent and ended up living with her children in an old SUV in a Walmart parking lot. Even Houston's middle class is struggling. Rising property taxes are forcing families to downsize or leave. The irony is clear. Houston can power half the world, but many residents cannot even find a place to sleep. Houston, we have a problem, and this time it is not about rockets. It is about roofs. From Texas we move northwest to Seattle, where the crisis looks different but just as serious. Seattle is home to Amazon, Microsoft, and Starbucks. Billions of dollars move through the city every day. But under the glass towers of big tech, thousands of people live in tents, trying to stay dry. The city only counts the homeless population every 2 years. This pit count always lags behind reality. People see tents multiplying daily, while reports say things are stable. It is like saying the Titanic has not sunk yet. It is only half underwater. Seattle already has some of the highest housing prices in the country. A one-bedroom apartment can cost $2,400 to $2,800 a month. Ordinary workers like drivers and warehouse staff cannot keep up. One Amazon warehouse worker lost his job in the nationwide layoffs. Without insurance or savings, he could not pay rent in Bellevue. Soon his family will move into a van. But until the next count, he does not exist in the data. People joke bitterly that Seattle only counts the homeless when the weather is nice. Without accurate data, policies become meaningless. How do you solve a problem you do not fully admit exists? For people in tents under bridges, rainbows and billion-dollar companies mean nothing. What they need is a roof. And while Seattle struggles with data gaps, Washington D.C. shows an even bigger contradiction. Just steps away from Capitol Hill, where politicians debate billion-dollar budgets, long lines of tents and sleeping bags cover Union Station. Many of those in the tents are veterans who once served their country but now must guard their belongings on the sidewalk. Housing costs in the capital keep rising, while budgets focus on security and political projects instead of housing. Even retired civil servants on fixed pensions feel anxious. They wonder if one bad winter could push them out of their homes and onto the streets. The image is striking. Commuters rushing home to warm houses, while homeless people huddle in line for soup, and the Capitol glows brightly in the distance. The situation is grim across the country. In August alone, 86,000 jobs were cut. The highest since the 2020 pandemic. In just a few months, 100,000 layoffs turned from numbers on a report into shattered families, unpaid bills, and empty apartments. CEOs say, "I will not take your job," technically true. But they are the ones using AI as the reason to cut positions. Workers who spent decades in logistics or factories are suddenly replaced by automation. In Chicago, a warehouse manager with 20 years of experience was laid off by email. 2 months later, he could not afford $2,200 rent and had to move his family into his sister's basement. "I thought I was middle class," he said. "Now I see I am just one step away from homelessness." The truth is middle-aged workers cannot easily switch careers to become AI engineers. New jobs are growing, but mostly for young people with tech degrees. The rest are left behind, counting every penny. Reports may claim the economy is strong, but reality is visible on the streets. More tents. More worried neighbors. More families sliding into crisis. When a company announces cost cuts, people do not just see a press release. They see their pensions, health insurance, and housing at risk. This leads to the final question. When trust in national data and policies is broken, what do Americans have left to hold on to? We have looked at 10 major U.S. cities. From Los Angeles and New York to Washington, D.C. The picture is the same. Millions in wealth on one side. Tents under bridges on the other. Official figures say a 4% drop is good news, but for families, one layoff or one medical bill can mean disaster. The common thread is clear. The fragile line between having a home and being homeless. Between a steady paycheck and an unemployment email. And most of all, the growing distrust when data, policy, and reality no longer match. So what do you think? Is the US on the right path to solving its job and housing crises? Or are we just patching the numbers while the real wound gets worse? Share your thoughts or stories in the comments. Your experience might help others find understanding. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Every bit of support helps us keep creating clear and honest explanations of America's social and economic struggles. These analyses are based on public reports, data, and expert opinions. This is not financial or legal advice. Always seek professional guidance for personal decisions. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.